Hey guys, this is Beltran and welcome back to another video. Today's video subject matter is what they are not telling you about the El Paso shooting. The El Paso shooting is one that's being alleged from the extreme right. The El Paso shooter stated in his manifesto that he supported the Christchurch shooter. The Christchurch shooter was an insane leftist eco-fascist. Now, the mainstream media and the left have attempted to perpetuate the falsehood that the Christchurch shooter was a far-right nationalist. They have attempted to demonize anything nationalistic in nature, even civic nationalism. People like Paul Joseph Watson have been banned off the platform of Facebook, and even Australia's very own the Dusty Bogan have had hit pieces against them for their dangerous ideology. Now, it ultimately should not matter where these individuals sat on the political spectrum.
Most literally, eco-fascism, ecological fascism, names a collectivist political regime that uses authoritarian measures to achieve its goal, protecting nature. No such regime has yet existed, although German National Socialism infamously included two components that later both explicitly or implicitly became viewed as eco-fascist.
Now, let us parallel that with leftist fascism.
The idea of a linear left or right political spectrum is stupid, but in those terms, fascism would be left-wing. Contrary to popular belief, fascism can be most accurately defined as the political belief that the state is more important than the individual. This belief is what allowed fascists to justify pursuing racial purification of humanity. They considered the individual rights of those they killed as less important than the greater good that they fervently believed would come to humanity through the supremacy of a certain race. Essentially, fascism focused on community rather than the individual, which is undoubtedly a hallmark of the left wing. In fact, Nazi is an acronym for the National Socialist German Workers' Party. In German, obviously a self-declared socialist workers' party is very clearly left-wing.
Again, the common thread here is monolithic collectivism and the state. The website asserts that the National Socialist Party of Germany is leftist. Okay, our terms have been defined. The El Paso shooter is believed to be on the far right of the political spectrum. But this is what has not been told to you. It appears that Antifa had arranged a siege to push border resistance. It also appears that the first-hand testimony of witness Adriana Quesada has been completely lost and thrown away. She claims to have seen 4 men with guns. This is completely different to the narrative that we are being fed. So, is it a false flag? There is no concrete, convincing evidence to prove this without a shadow of a doubt. It is unusual, however, that these two clues have been conveniently left out, and they do bring forth justifiable cause to doubt. The narrative being perpetuated by the media is a white nationalist has committed another terrorist act. This is exactly what they want. They want to bring down nationalism. They want to demonize the white man, and that is exactly what they are getting. Everyone is falling for the narrative and we are consuming it. It is causing division between everyone, and it's exactly what they want. Let's go through some of this madman's points. The attack was a response to the Hispanic invasion of Texas. Texas has always had a huge Hispanic contingent, based on the fact that its origins are Latino. So to feel as though there is a Hispanic invasion, whilst can be a somewhat justifiable observation, it does not compute entirely because of its Spanish origins. The people of Texas are originally Mexican, and the land was theirs long before it was American. Mexicans feel a tie and a camaraderie and a brotherhood to this state because of its history. According to the US Census Bureau, the white population is still the largest population group. However, the Hispanic population will more than likely surpass the white population in 2022. So, instead of needlessly murdering 22 people, what could be done and what should be done? I would suggest building the damn wall, as that would absolutely deter illegal immigration by a significant number. I would also suggest a higher portion of deportations. Additionally, I would place an overall halt on all immigration. I would also call upon the white people who are so concerned about being outnumbered and replaced in a country that is now technically theirs, but has a stronghold of Latino people. The best way to avoid a racial genocide is to educate your own with family values, the family unit. Reproduce more than just 2 children. The onus is on you. Democratic Party pander heavily to the Hispanic voting bloc. The leftist publication, The Guardian itself, confirms that Hispanics tend to lean and vote Democrat. When pollsters say the vast majority of Hispanics lean Democrat, they're speaking of Mexican Americans who make up the largest group of Hispanics by a landslide. Nearly 2/3 of Hispanic Americans, 64%, are of Mexican descent. So instead of writing a manifesto and causing more division among the political divide, what could be done and what should be done? Education is key. Even though the leftist agenda controls the mainstream media and news, despite the fact that they have a Republican president in office, the left socially controls and engineers the language. It is unfortunate that they do not exercise political agency and operate like lemmings. The Republican Party needs to gather up a huge faction of their party to go door knocking to the doors of every single citizen if possible. They need Spanish speakers to explain to the illegal immigrants and the immigrants who are voting why Republican is better. What is it that the Republican Party has done at this stage to assist them, to assist the economy? What factors should you be voting on rather than being a single issue voter? America will have to initiate universal basic income to prevent poverty. A universal basic income is a government guarantee that each individual citizen will get a minimum income. The intention behind the payment is to provide enough to cover the basic cost of living and provide financial security and abolish welfare programs. Free income may disincentivize people to work. It will make work appear to be an optional choice. Why work if you don't need to? The financial incentive has been removed from the equation. This would increase immigration tenfold, and as a solution, it does not compute. Realistically, implementing a UBI would be an additional option on top of the welfare programs. Can you imagine for 1 second that single mothers or people from poorer households will want to give up their welfare rights for a UBI? It would never happen. So instead of theorizing false outcomes, what could be done and what should be done? Abolish all welfare programs and encourage the masses to work and to earn money. This will demotivate many immigrants from relying on the welfare system, and it will get lazy white Americans off their asses and actually working and contributing to society and adding productivity to the economy. This has been a success in the past with the 1996 Welfare Reform Act passed by Bill Clinton. TANF administrative data reported by states to the federal government show that caseloads began declining in the spring of 1994 and fell even more rapidly after the federal legislation was enacted in 1996. Between 1994 to 2005, the caseload declined about 60%. The decimation of the environment is creating a massive burden. Is the environment affected by open border immigration? Turbocharged immigration is a legitimate fear. The carrying capacity of the environment is absolutely something worth being concerned about. It also affects endangered animals as human consumption of resources crowds out and poisons other animals. Water shortages will continue to rise. The population rises with immigrants coming from lower polluting areas, and carbon emissions are higher per person. According to the website Scientific American, with just 5% of the world's people, Americans use a quarter of the world's fossil fuels, own more private cars than drivers with licenses, and live in homes that are on average 38% larger today than they were in 1975. So, instead of developing false hatred toward a particular ethnic group that is lending to the overpopulation of Texas, what could be done and what should be done? By building high-rises as opposed to further building on green land with flora and fauna and animals. By educating students in primary school, high school and university that immigration is a problem for the environment as well as carbon emissions. Write letters, write emails, contact your congressman, inform them of how the people actually feel. Unite at rallies. Show the American government that you want a moratorium on immigration. There is always power in numbers. The more terrorist attacks that take place, the less you are helping the movement, the less you are helping your cause. The jobs of my dreams will most likely be automated. Well, boo-hoo, move with the times. Adapt. Technology keeps progressing. The internet has hundreds and hundreds of different uses. You can start your own business, you can create an app. It is only your own fault if you get left behind, but you're dead now. It should also be noted that the shooter specifically stated that President Trump was not the inspiration of this particular attack. But it doesn't matter. The media still jumped on that bandwagon and claimed it was President Trump's fault, even though President Trump stated the following.
In one voice, our nation must condemn racism, bigotry, and white supremacy.
It is unwise to point the finger and blame anyone except for the individual themselves. In this case, it happened to be someone of the alleged far right, but I've already presented certain unusual clues that could be an Antifa plant. Is the answer blaming white nationalism? No, but it's certainly heading that way. But with movements like Brexit, with movements like Blexit, with movements like MAGA, it is extremely possible that we can hope and be optimistic for our future. Anyway guys, I hope this video has been informative.